Hello, everyone. I'm Joseph Vaughan from Zuma. Zuma, as you know, operates in the world of recruitment for analytics, insights, and data. We support tech startups, scale-ups, and all data professionals, all in the Berlin region. Today's topic for Data for Good podcast is the importance of data transparency. This is about having data that is accurate, accessible, and from the official source of truth. I'm joined by Christian Smorra. He's head of data products at MOVU. MOVU is the leading moving platform in Switzerland. He's originally from Berlin and has worked within the tech industry in Berlin, so he knows a lot about it. Hi, Christian. How's it going today?
I'm good, Joseph. Thanks. How about you?
Yeah, really good. Yeah, really good. Thank you. Christian.
Thanks for having me. I know you had quite a roster already of people from the Berlin tech scene, so I'm quite honored to also be invited on your podcast.
Excellent. You didn't say that to me before we started recording.
I hope that's okay.
Cool. That's great. Yeah, you're very welcome. Great to have you on as well, Christian. Yeah, it really is. Could you start by telling us, how did you first join, or how did you first get into the world of data?
Sure. I mean, I'll start with how I originally got into the world of software, which was at quite a young age. I discovered that you can do, software engineering, which was magical because it allowed you to build stuff with almost no capital investment. You are the capital, and the time you spend is what you can create, what you put into your business or into your project. So that's something that got me really hooked, and I just it took all my attention. Basically, I was still finishing school, so that didn't work out quite so well academically, but at least I got a career out of it, so I guess it's fine in the end. But yeah, so I funded a couple of businesses, a couple of small businesses, right, during school and after school. I funded an agency. I tried my hand at my own startup together with a friend of mine that I met in school. So I've been around the Berlin tech scene, as you say, quite a bit. I did some freelancing, and in the end, I ended up at Floki, which is a startup in Berlin that teaches you how to play the piano. And I joined there as one of the first engineers, as a founding engineer, as you would call it. And there it was a immensely interesting journey and a very interesting experience, because we took it from basically from zero, from just a couple of guys in a university room, like a university hall, university incubator, to a business that makes millions of revenue and has millions of users signing up to learn. And yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I got into data, because I always had like 2 feet or like 1 foot in each of the worlds. Software engineering, I'm very passionate about writing software, but I'm also passionate about business. And then the moment was just right at Floki, because we reached this late startup stage, where you have product market fit, and like most of the product is assembled, and now you have to start focusing your efforts or focusing your spending and what exactly you want to improve. It's not about building new things so much anymore. It's more about like tweaking what you have and improving. So that's when I basically volunteered to go in this direction at the company. And when you work at a startup, the one who takes the initiative usually gets the job. So that's how I transitioned there. And yeah, I mean, I did also beforehand a lot of backend engineering, so it felt kind of natural to go over there. It was very smooth. And on a personal level, why I got into data also is because I am kind of a news junkie. I read a lot of news, and like this power of getting data, analyzing data, aggregating data, felt kind of like a superpower to me. If you can go beyond what the news tells you, you know, basically, or like what the media or like a certain publication tells you, and allows you to go dig for it yourself. So that was also what motivated me on a personal level. And of course, it's career-wise, it's pretty cool because many of your colleagues, you know, in modern companies, a lot of companies, they adhere to the data-driven ideology, to the data-driven mindset almost religiously. So if you are the guy with the superpower, with the mystic power, they kind of look at you like you're some sort of shaman. And career-wise, that's always a good move, I think.
Yeah, I see. Interesting.
Yeah.
So what I understand there is having a pioneering, adventuring spirit, but also strong business acumen, and then a genuine passion for truth. Not to sound too kind of esoteric, but you really wanted to pursue truth and pursue a way to make that open for people.
Yeah.
I've got a bit of a head start on our viewers today because I know what we're talking about, but
Yeah.
I'm getting an understanding as to why. So data transparency, clearly that's important to you for your search for truth. In the context of business, tell me what you've been doing in this field in data transparency.
In the context of business, I mean, in business, you know, data transparency in business is obviously what everyone is aiming for, in the sense that you have to know where your data is coming from. That is something that is a very, very hard field. And I think there it takes a lot of communication to stakeholders and things and other people inside the company to really establish trust, that you can actually convene that transparency, or like convene where you get the data that you're getting. Inside companies, obviously, I mean, I can talk about MOVU. We have a very open platform, so to speak, so everyone can access all the metrics all the time. And we also encourage people to look at everything that we have, because I think if you actually, like, we have probably around, like, I don't know, over 100 Tableau sheets, which is probably a lot for a company our size. So we have a lot of data transparently available at MOVU, and we encourage people to look at it, because in the end, if you understand all the data behind the company, it ultimately helps you understand the business best. So that's why I think transparency is also great. And people who care about, like, non-data people who care about data, who want to understand businesses, they should do well to actually to make use of the transparency that your data team may provide to you.
I wholeheartedly agree. And you will recognize that most of the people within an organization are not data technical. They're not data professionals. They are the business, the functions, the operations. So yeah, them understanding and being able to use this and knowing that it is a source of truth is powerful. We won't go into it in too much detail, but when you mention MOVU and these 100+ Tableau sheets, are these available to customers, or is this more internal?
No, it's not. It's not available to customers.
I mean, the information that it provides.
Yeah, I mean, we are a business in the end. I mean, we've been acquired by Balua, so we have some, you know, we're owned by a publicly traded company. So obviously there's some, even if we wanted to open source this information, there would be some compliance concerns probably. So yeah, unfortunately, this is not open to the. I mean, what we do actually do is we publish a moving study about the Swiss moving market. So who moves where, and like what's the trend there, like do people move to cities, what do families do, like stuff like that will be probably very interesting now that that COVID is over. So yeah, if you care about I mean you're targeted mostly at Berlin professionals, I guess, so maybe you don't care so much about the about the Swiss moving market, but you can compare. If you care about moving markets, you can compare it with the German one.
I see. Well, yeah, I'll be clear. Our podcast is for data professionals and tech and business professionals in Berlin. And some of those viewers or some of that audience will have a great understanding as to data and some won't. So, yeah, the field is broad.
Yeah.
You have also been working on a personal project that's about to blow up. And
I hope so.
Yeah. Well, I think it's an important one. Could you tell us some more about this?
Yeah, I mean, when we talked about transparency, I also want to add why transparency in data is also important on a public level. I think there it is even, I mean, it's great if a business is transparent. I mean, to some extent, that's also mandated, obviously. If you're publicly traded, you have to do some disclosures and stuff. But on a public level, I think it's even more interesting because no matter like, I mean, we as data professionals, we advocate usually for inside the organization to use more data, not necessarily to like add more data, but use data that one has better and base decisions of that. And I think societally, no matter where you stand politically, what your views are on certain subjects, I think you would always want to have the data to back up your point, or the data can actually settle arguments if you have it. So I think it's very important for governments and in general, like organizations that operate in like public society, to disclose as much data as possible and to make this data as accessible as possible. And this works for some countries, doesn't work so good for Germany, which is why which is why I'm building, or like I built this project. It's now finally at the stage where I feel I can release it. So yeah, should we get to it?
Yeah, let's get to it.
Okay.
Definitely.
So what I'm talking about today is the structured database of the German Handelsregister, the company register. So what is a company register? The company register is basically where the government records all information pertaining to changes in structure or personnel or whatever of companies that operate in the country. In the UK, you have the Companies Office, which is actually quite the gold standard with regards to openness and programmatic accessibility, because there you can, for some aspects, you can actually just pull all the data, download this file, and have a database of everything, and you don't even need to build anything. It's already built for you by the government for the sake of transparency.
I'm very familiar with it, and also I will get updates when there's been any changes within our company, or if I've chosen to view any other companies, I'll get updates as to changes in that company as well. And yeah, I understand that it's fairly sophisticated as to the amount of data that they have.
It's extremely well done, and it's actually great that the UK government, I mean, they've been always, the Companies Office has always been like on the leading, how you say, on the leading edge. Can you say that?
Yes,
has been at the forefront of tech, basically. So that's been always really great. There are other countries that are also doing quite well, like for example the Danish. They also have a very nice company register where you can access data programmatically and also get it downloaded, you know, get everything you need. But of all the ones that we have in Europe, Germany ranks definitely quite low in
In
Yeah.
terms of what exactly? What's wrong with it?
What's wrong with it? What's good about it? I can tell you not much because this first of all, because of the federal nature of Germany, there are like actually many different trade registers, and they are like bundled under a very old system that's probably, I would guess, like 20 years old or something.
Yeah.
And back then, like a month ago, the only way to view changes there, officially, like from the official, what the government provides to you, would be to pull announcements from a website that pretty much just prints like announcements in text form of changes. So you can like search for a company, and then you have like, let's say you have 10 entries, then you start reading from the first entry, and then it says, okay, this company was founded, the objective is this, these are the directors, and then you have mutations on top of mutations. So if you were to do it yourself to like actually figure out what happened, you would take like a piece of paper, start out, okay, these were the directors, then you go to the next entry, then okay, this director went away, then next year they changed the capital, so you keep go through all this, and then you make notes. So this is how the German government basically pictured you using this. Obviously, you can automate that. That's a very good task for a computer, and there are other companies that fill this niche. They provide basically for you the service that the UK trade register provides as a public service. They provide it as a paid private service. And yeah, they do, or like basically the idea of this project was to summarize all these registries into a structured database of the whole German business world. So you have everything in one neat database, and you can mine it and process it as you need.
Interesting. So there's a subscription or a paid version available, and that is a trustable version, and that seeks to solve the problems that the German government site doesn't address.
Yeah,
However,
I mean, there are, there are paid services available. However, I am doing an open source version, basically for free. So you don't have to pay. And they, as you said, yes, they seek to solve these problems that the German government refuses to provide to you because reasons.
I say. When do you plan on releasing this?
I mean, it's basically finished. I am currently talking to the Open Knowledge Foundation in Germany, the German Open Knowledge Foundation. They have released something similar in 2019, which contained a bit less of data and is obviously already a bit outdated. So yeah, I'm currently coordinating with them. Hopefully they will also be able to. There are some. I'm very passionate. I got very passionate about this topic, and I also have some. I brought some things to them because they are also active in the digital politics space. They have this portal, Netzpolitik and Frag den Staat, which are like government critical publications. So I'm hoping that they will also publish a bit about the pitfalls of the German trade register.
That's Frag den Staat and Netzpolitik.
Netzpolitik and Frag den Staat, yeah.
Okay, interesting. So somebody who is interested could also follow up on these.
Yeah, I mean, if you're interested in topics like privacy, transparency, open governance, all these things, those are the places to be. These people are really good. They're like the #1 advocates for these topics, which are these days, unfortunately, probably not top of mind for most people with all the other stuff that's going on. But
I think people out in society are much more aware of data privacy and data security topics because it affects them on a personal level. As to company registers, but they won't have as much knowledge, but I'm sure they'll appreciate the importance of it.
I can tell you a small anecdote about the company register. It just happened recently in Germany, because they changed some things there, and it turns out you could download like all sorts of private documents from there. So that shows you how seriously the German government takes it. It was a big scandal because there were like hundreds of passports downloaded of people. You know, you submit the filing and then there's a scan of your passport in there, and you just publish that on the official trade register. So that's the trade register is also the Handelsregister is also in the news in these circles also right now, like 2 weeks ago.
Wow. So this is not just a project. This is critical, especially when you're dealing with people's private information. This project could have a huge impact on governmental procedures as far as the registering of companies goes. Am I right in saying that you've been doing a bit of ethical hacking there?
No, I mean, I was not doing the hacking, you know, it was someone else. So I'm not the hacker, so no worries. I just compiled the database of German companies, you know, and published them for people to see.
And from a user perspective, will a company have to follow a different process to, I guess, enroll or upload their information onto your platform?
Oh, no, it's not a platform. I don't collect any information. I just pull information from sources that you know, from badly readable data and aggregate it into a database. So there's no change in how you publish anything.
I see. Will the change be how people access it, or the ease of which they can access it, and the order of which the information comes?
Yeah, hopefully it will provide access to people who can use it to extract more insights for themselves. I mean, from a public from the perspective of the public, what you can do with this data set is basically to see, you know, how many companies were founded this year, this day, where were they founded, what are these what kind of companies, who's founding them, is it young people, old people, women, men, how are things changing on executive boards, you know, all these things that you need a big data set, an aggregate data set to determine trends and to determine how things are going. These things you can now analyze.
Interesting. What other ways can this advanced data help people and help businesses?
I mean, from a commercial perspective, what this is used for is usually to, you know, keep your CRM up to date, make sure you have all the right people, like you said, for example, notifying you if there are changes in corporate structure or like directors or whatever, or if you want to, you know, the most used use case probably commercially is finding leads for B2B sales. That's like the premier use case commercially, and now you can do it for free.
And I thank you.
Yeah,
I'm sure that'll be very helpful for us in our pursuit of business as well. How long have you been working on this project?
Oh, too long. I've probably been working on this on the side for almost 2 years now, because I took it on because it looked doable, but challenging, and it turned out to be much more challenging than I expected, because there's, like, as I said, because of the federal nature, there's like a million edge cases, even though it looks broadly familiar or broadly the same. So yeah, it was a couple of times actually it was about to throw in the towel, because it seemed to be out of scope for a side project. But, you know, I just kept grinding away, And yeah, at some point you just, you crack the puzzle and you find an approach that works, and then yeah, and now it's almost it's basically finished. Yeah, it's finished to the degree where I'd be comfortable releasing it.
Fantastic. And perhaps you've already mentioned this, but what made you find this problem? How did you come across it and think? Was it because of your own personal use and how did you come across all this?
Actually, I was looking into exploring opportunities for business in the space, but at some point I realized it's not really commercially viable to do the thing that I wanted to do, which was to build maybe it's commercially viable, but it was out of scope for a single person. So I was looking to build like a global register, for all countries, connect all the data. But that's quite tricky to do because, as it turns out, there's not even data set available for Germany. So yeah, that's why
And I imagine different countries record different information and different levels of accuracy and different levels of transparency with all of that as well.
Yeah. I mean, different. Yeah, it's most countries that they are not as open as the UK. So yeah, that's a problem. So you have to collect a lot of data to get to the level where the UK is, and you don't want to start from a low level as other countries where you don't have much data. So that's why. Yeah, it's hard to get all the countries in the quality that you would need to join them. You would have if you go to the lowest bar, basically that doesn't make much sense, so to speak.
Sure. Christian, you spent 2 years on your labor of love, huge project, and clearly this is going to have a critical positive impact on the business world in Germany. How can people find this information, this database?
We'll probably put this into the description. I guess it will be available at offeneregister.de. That's where the old project lives. Okay. So probably we'll be publishing an update there. For the source code, I guess it's best to put that also to just link that because I haven't put it on a repo yet. It still needs some touching up. So yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Well, if it's possible, we'll put links to that with this video, and if it comes at a much later date, then we'll be able to push that out for you as well.
Yeah, no, cool. It should be possible. I mean, I expect it to be. I don't think we have to release it right away, so probably we can wait a week or two, hopefully. So by then everything should be in its place.
Yeah. So as part of our Data for Good podcast, we ask all our guests to provide some advice to the data community. As you have a case study, you've developed really successfully a project over the last 2 years, and soon that will be made public. My advice is going to be about projects for data professionals. How can other data professionals start and deliver such problem-solving projects? And also, how can they have these projects seen by the German commercial world?
That's actually a great question. And I think it's hard to say that you can appeal to the German commercial world and like broadly, because obviously there's a lot of industries and stuff or people with different interests. And I think the main thing, if you do a side project, or even if you do a startup or whatever, if you commit to putting work into something, it has to be something you're interested in yourself. So either you find some problem domain that you're interested in where you want to, maybe you have interest in certain things and you want to dig deeper, or you want to do something, you want to explore some tech or something, some you want to learn something. So that's when you can also stay motivated by learning and doing. So I think it's better to go down a path where you can have some intrinsic motivation. I mean, for me, it was in the end just I just couldn't give up, It's just at times it seemed very hard to finish, or like to require way too much work to do on your spare time. But I just couldn't let it go. So that was basically my motivation. If you could say, it's kind of like sunk costs. So
Yeah.
that can also be a powerful motivator at some point. But ideally, you would pick something that you find interesting. And then if you say, I don't know if you want to get noticed by someone, you have to first pick someone, some audience, or let's say I want to get noticed by recruiters. Probably if you can post some data about job markets and like hiring trends and like publish that, at some point I will pop up on the feed of you, Joseph, I would guess. Or like, there's like it depends on what you're interested in. There's like data in almost all fields, public data. It's not so super visible usually. You kind of have to dig for it a bit, either be it on like some government site, or like, some open platform. But I'm sure there's data in almost every niche. Like the most prominent thing where we had the data in the broad eye was during COVID. Every one of us was basically checking some dashboard somewhere every day. So I mean, you can always find something.
And leaving a footprint online somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so what I've taken from that is pursue a topic that you're interested in and intrinsically motivated in. Find a problem that you could potentially solve. Consider your sunk costs and commit further if necessary. And
just invest as much time as you can up front, and then you can't back down anymore. Just like take a week off vacation, invest it all, and then if you stop doing it, all that time will be lost. So you have to keep going.
No turning back from that.
Yeah.
And also, I think it's an important one to publish your findings in relevant social spheres. So
Yeah.
if it's about recruitment, let it be known over LinkedIn, connect with people that are relevant to the recruitment market. If it's about, well, whatever interest topic it's about, connect with and publish information in those relevant areas. Okay, that's fantastic.
I mean, I think that's a good point. And I want to add to that and say, because usually if we work in data, working in data doesn't mean just doing some clever SQL transformations or writing some clever code. It's also finding people who may be interested in the data, or like communicating it back to them, or maybe usually if you find something you can do with the data you have inside a company, you can also like reach out to people inside the company and say, hey, usually people don't know what's possible, so you can like say, okay, look, we can do this or that. So, and if you're working on a public project or something that's out in the open, I mean, it's a total no-brainer that you also have to reach out to people who may be interested. Otherwise it would be sad, because unfortunately there's no easy way to just have there's no like global data repository where you can publish your things and people will find it. So yeah, you have to do some legwork to have it be seen. Otherwise it would just become data rot and rot away, which would be very sad if that happened after you took a week of vacation to build it.
Sunk costs. Coming back to the sunk costs once again.
Yeah.
That's great advice. It really is positive advice for data professionals that that want to pursue a project but don't know how to start, where to start, and even why, whether they should start. So yeah, I really appreciate that. And about all of today's conversation, particularly or generally about data transparency, but also about the company registered database that you'll soon release. Thank you for sharing all of that. I feel like you would be a good person to talk to in the future about some specific data governance and data privacy topics. So perhaps I'll come back and bug you if that's okay.
Sure, of course. Always happy to come back.
Fantastic. And I'll say to anyone who's listening or watching, if they have any questions or comments, particularly about data transparency or about the German Companies Register, feel free to reach out to myself, Zuma, or Christian, and I'm sure we'll get back to you promptly.
Sure.
Awesome. Again, thanks very much, Christian, and I shall see you very soon.
Yes, thanks again for having me, and talk to you soon.
Awesome. Cheers. Ciao. Bye-bye.
Ciao, ciao.